serikali iendelee hivyo, tubaki tu watu ya gasla na heavy machine peke yake. Pia mimi naomba huyu serikali waseme kama gari yako ni below 3000 cc, gari yako
ili kupata mafuta kupanda kama skiza tune, bonyeza *811 *397 hash, *811 *397 hash.
A very good morning to you. My name is Daniel Wahome, and welcome to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It's the first Monday of the month of April 2022. It's a fourth day, 04/04/2022. Conversations about sport will be there, and we will be talking about sport for peace. That's our first interview. We'll be speaking about emerging sport management, and the conversation about how Kisumu and Mombasa will get, activated such that there is peace throughout this time, and football is a platform. We shall also be talking about the Africa Youth Games. Kenya's 3x3 basketball team was selected, and that means that we are all ready to get practicing, and we shall be joined by Shemutieno, who's an under-16 3x3 basketball coach, and Terence Hill Musimbi and Emilia Munga, who are 3x3 basketballers, and the last one is lawn bowls. Yes, lawn bowling, and it's a very interesting sport. Musembi Mumo, who's the chair of the Kenya Bowling Association, is going to be talking to us about that. And also in the news, we shall be having the East African Legislative Assembly MP sensitization happening at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, and also election preparedness. This is going on at the Kenya School of Government. Kamche Medza is our reporter at that event. Our sign language interpreter is Ann Wangeshi within this hour, and also we shall be keeping up with you through Twitter. Our handle is at KBC Channel 1. So let's get straight to our first conversation, and this is all about using sport as a platform for peace. It's something that has come up all along anytime the conversations come up, and we're joined this morning by Belinda Rajema, who's a partnerships director at Emerging Sports Management. Hi, Belinda. Welcome to KBC Channel 1.
Thank you, Wahome. Thank you for having us today.
Yes, and also we're joined by Millicent Aponi, who's the head of sales at Emerging Sports Management. Yes. Good morning, Millicent.
Good morning, Mr. Wahome. Thank you.
All right. And also joining us, we shall be joined by Simon Smith, who's the CEO of Emerging Sports Management via Zoom from London. We know he's got to catch a train in just about 15 minutes or so, but he's going to give us a few minutes of his time so that we can get into a conversation with him. And Belinda, let me start with you. And this organization is established in 2018.
Yes.
What was the thinking behind Emerging Sports Management?
The thinking behind Emerging Sports Management was purely to focus on identifying local talent and nurturing it for international development, and also trying to identify international coaches to come in and train the local coaches that are here. But the most important thing was to identify sports for development, sports for youth development, engagements that we can also use sports to empower the women, to empower the youth, and also to bring development within the communities. And as it is right now, as we are working towards the elections, it is more about embracing peace. As you're all aware that on the 6th is going to be the International Day for Peace, Sports for Peace Development. And it's something we're trying to ensure that during this time for our general elections, this is something that is really embraced as we move forward.
And if we were to start from that point, listen, what have been some of the little stories about it that you know ESM has done in the country?
Currently, what we can say, we've been trying to merge up with the communities, especially in Kisumu, the women, the youth, and when we come to the slums area as well, we've been trying to put the youth together just to engage them in peace sports, because this is, what will I say, it's a peace ground, common ground, because everybody else loves sports. So when we bring the women, the people with disabilities, and the youth, that is what we've been working with.
Well, and also this is tied to some of the development goals of the United Nations. How are you working with bodies around that to ensure that there's progress as far as this is concerned?
So far as the development goals are concerned, you'll find that we've tried to partner with mainly organizations that identify things like education, as we are looking at. Last year, Manyata United, the year before, was actually the Chapa Dimba champions, and you'll find that we're trying to ensure that we embrace things, education. They have also started working with projects, photography, just to ensure that we have children and we have the youth geared into the right direction. So you'll find that so far as sustainable goals are concerned, we're trying to capture the education piece, we're trying to capture the women empowerment within the same area, and youth development. So those are the areas that we are trying to ensure that we cover so far as the SDGs are concerned.
Well, and that's Belinda Rejema, who is the partnerships director at Emerging Sports Management. And right now joining us from London is the CEO of Emerging Sports Management, Simon Smith. And Simon, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. Greetings from the UK, and on a very wet and miserable Monday morning, but thank you for having me on.
Well, Simon, just to introduce Simon, he's been operations director at Liverpool Football Club. And Simon, let me come to you. The thinking behind, engaging in this sport for development work, where did it come from for you, and why the choice of Kenya?
Well, it's a really interesting question. I mean, I think just to put it into a bit of context, I've been involved back to Liverpool. Challenges the country has, the opportunities, but it is somebody to come in there and really try and harness some of the potential, try and help support some of the community initiatives. And really, Pastor Boniface has been my inspiration behind me wanting to be involved and to try and help Kenyan people at all levels, in all positions, reach their potential, of which clearly there is an outstanding amount there. So yes, to have an inspirational figure, a man of the church, and he's been my driving force with Kenya.
And from having worked at a professional level, one of the things that has been mentioned by Belinda and Millicent is helping grow the talent. What are the lessons from the UK that you want to see brought down to Kenya, such that young players, young boys, young girls can grow up to be footballers who can perform at the highest level?
There's lots of lessons, really, and I don't think necessarily the situation or the environment in UK naturally transfers to Kenya. I think what you have to bring is a level of expertise. You have to bring a level of expertise. I think that you need to pass on your experiences. You need to bring a real kind of focus and a passion, because I think whilst there's a lot of passion for sports there, it needs to materialise into excellence. So I'm hoping that from the UK, what I can bring is that level of experience, a level of qualification and training that I and people that I have within my organisation here can bring to bear. That can bring that organisation, that professional, from down to the administration. But ultimately, it's bringing expertise, and over a long period of time, that will help boys and girls in Kenya to reach their potential. So there isn't one thing, it's not a natural transfer, but I think if you can bring all of the things I just described in an abundance on a regular basis, because you can't just wave a magic wand and everybody who's got that potential becomes an elite sports person. But I think over a number of years and a period of time, you can get to that level. So I think it's
youngsters who've had trials in Europe, what has been the feedback? What are things that, you know, you would pass a message back as we try to develop our youngsters, you know, in a different environment, so that and also picking up from some of the best practices that we've seen from the world's leading nations in football?
incredible. I mean, there's been lots of lessons learned, and it is very different, of course, as you can imagine, coming from playing in the Premier League to trialing at a top European league. So you've got to start off with the obvious one, which I'm suffering today myself: the weather. You know, in the winter time, the temperature difference, humidity difference, diet, it was all very different. The intensity of training is very different. So I think the lessons that the guys have learned when they come to Europe to trial is that the level of intensity is far greater.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right, Simon. All right. Okay, Simon. Simon. Looks like we had your video had dropped. We were able to hear you, but looks like the video had dropped at that point. So Simon Smith is the CEO of Emerging Sports Management. Thank you very much for joining us this early morning from London, and we hope that you have a brighter day later. Thank you very much, and hope that when you're able to come to Kenya. All right, Simon, as a closing remark, I would like to ask, what should we look out for the rest of the year with Emerging Sports Management in Kenya, besides the activities that will be taking place over the next 10 or so days?
I didn't catch most of that, but the bits I caught is, I mean, I'm really excited about the Peace Tournament. I think one of the things that we've seen in a very challenging world that we live in is that sport can really give that focus I talked about earlier to young people, to take their minds and the temptations away, and that they can concentrate their mind on something positive like sport. So we've got a great tournament coming up. We've got some really good people who have got behind the tournament, from businesses to peace advocates, and I really hope that coming out of the next couple of weeks in Kenya that people will get ignited, ignite their passion for sports, that they will bring that some focus, and some team administrators will really be able to be inspired and to be able to inspire children from across the communities to take away some of the negatives that might be out there and really focus their energies on sport and football in particular. So I'm hoping there's going to be a wide-reaching community impact over the next couple of weeks. I really look forward to receiving the feedback, and you know, if we can inspire one child to take a different path, or ideally 100 children to take a different path, of course, then we'll have been successful. So it's all about the impact on the individuals in challenging environments, and hoping that we can make a small impact on their lives, of course.
Right. Thank you very much. Simon Smith is a former operations director at Liverpool and now CEO of Emerging Sports Management. Thank you for your time in London this morning. I know you got to catch a train, so I wouldn't want you to miss that. All right. Thank you very much. Simon Smith, CEO of Emerging Sports Management. He was to be here but could not travel down, but he has a team that is going to be working on this. And we come back to Belinda Rajema, who's a partnerships director at Emerging Sports Management, and Millicent Pondi, who is head of sales. And from what Simon has said is, for example, when you work with Manyata Youth, who are based in Kisumu.
Yes.
What is the story they say when you engage with them, first from the football side?
From the football side, okay, let's start. Manyata United has started initiating this program the last 4 years as Pendo Moja tournament. That's how it has been running, and it was picked up right after they picked up the tournament right after the post-election violence. So that's how it came up. And as we are all aware that the post-election violence, most of the time, or once there's any issue, okay, it has been happening, and it keeps on picking up from Kisumu. That's where it's starting off, unfortunately. So we are trying to ensure that we embrace that piece. But basically now, from the sports view, we are trying to bring in the communities together, and that's how the story started. That's how we picked it up, and we've been working with Afrinov, that's Africa Center for Nonviolence, and they have been championing the peace talks around Manyata area, and they've been coming, and they're going to be actually partnering with us in the workshop to speak about the agenda, peace agenda. So they'll be handling the workshop on that. They've been doing that for quite some time.
The football side of it, what have they said? Because you mentioned they won the Chapa Dimba tournament.
Yes. Yes, they did, and we have, they've won the Chapa Dimba tournament, and we've been running quite a number of programs there with them. And the programs they've been running, and mainly apart from the Chapa Dimba, we've been running quite a number of other sports around football. We've got the youth, they had a tournament early this week, and we've got quite a number of tournaments, other team members who have confirmed they will be attending. We have the police in Kisumu, they'll be coming in. We have the... That's
going to be interesting.
Yeah, we have the border team that is also coming on board. And we have apart from the Manyata Starlets, ladies are going to be there as well. We have also, there's quite a number of teams that have confirmed they will be there. Yes. So that's the community team. So far as football is concerned, they're well organized, and the community is really trying to embrace the peace tournament.
And when people get involved in sport, Melissa, something happens. I've seen it happen in prisons. I have seen it happen, where there's young children. What's the community response? What are the stories that they give? Because somehow people end up, opening up, giving unsolicited information.
Actually, as I said before, sports is a common ground for everyone to come together. We're talking about women, we're talking about youth, people with disability, and whenever they play sports, they engage with one another. That's when somebody's character come in and said, okay, we're having conflict between me and you, but let's talk about peace now. We are here, let's have fun, and let's continue doing this on a day-to-day basis. So according to what we're trying to champion as the sports development and peace in Manyata, is embracing sports in terms of community development, people coming together and just saying, yes, here we are, let's have fun and join hands. When our team wins, we praise one another. When it doesn't win, let's look for another time all together and find out our weaknesses and embrace it together. Yes.
As community.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to weigh in on that?
Yes, basically, you see, when we come together, so far as sports is concerned, you find that in our schools right now, you find children from Kisumu are in schools in Nairobi. Children from Nairobi are going to school there. So sports is all about bringing
the national secondary school system as it is now.
As it is right now. So basically, we're trying to bring sports to bring people together, because we are there, but we're from different communities altogether. So we are one, and that is the most important thing right now, because as we're moving towards the elections, what is it all about? We may not talk about it, the tension may be there, it may not be there, but on the ground, the communities feel it. So when we bring in the sports aspect, we're trying to bring everybody together. You may be from, people have started calling us from different areas, from Meru, people have started calling us from, they called us yesterday from Kajiado. Everybody wants to come in and join hands. So it will be quite an impressive tournament. It's a pace to take at this time.
When you engage this institutions that talk about peace,
Yes.
that want to use sport as the platform. For example, in Kisumu, what are the key theme areas that are brought out?
The key theme areas that are brought up, number one, as we saw last time, we have gender violence. It was quite pronounced during the first post-election violence that we had. And we are also talking about youth are being used as a tool to actually engage in violence at this time. So we try to ensure that we engage the youth more, because you find due to unemployment, they get people tap into them very fast for easy money. So at this time we try to, the main topics is we're talking about the youth and how to get them, their minds channeled correctly, and trying to talk more about gender violence. Why was it so pronounced at this time? So that is one of the areas that we saw was quite pronounced the last time.
Millicent, let me come to you. How do you then pitch this whole concept to me so that I can buy it?
Let me just say, it's all about passion. When you have passion in your heart, you like, I am passioning for peace. And at the end of the day, we want our women, our children, our society, everyone to know it's not all about politics. Let's get to the field and have fun, and at the end of the day, see where it takes us to. And the rest, we'll say, is it comes all along.
Also, sorry to tap in. Also, how we pitch it is that we have like the workshop that is going to be taking place. So you find that quite a number of institutions would want to tap into the borders, would want to tap into the Kenya Police Service, would want to tap into these groups that are coming together, the coaches that are participating. They want to get in there and also have a word with them. So you find so many, we have one of our partners who's coming on board, KCB Bank. They would also want to share more about their products, their community products that they have at this particular time. So we try to ensure that we have partners that also want to engage with the audience that is at that level. Yes.
And let's talk about also Mombasa County is another place. How was Mombasa selected? Actually,
Mombasa is our newest project into this. We will be working with, we're actually working with Mombasa Elite. Mombasa Elite was formerly Modern Coast, and it started off as Magongo FC, which was a community-based kind of program. The purpose was basically to ensure that the youth there don't engage into basically what is happening in Mombasa. We have got a lot of drug influence, and the community, we wanted to bring the community together at that point in time. So you find that Magongo FC, now that is moved from Magongo to Modern Coast, now that it is rebranded to Mombasa Elite, and we've been playing the NSL, and it has been quite impressive. We're bringing the communities together. We're bringing actually youth from Mombasa and other areas as well. They're coming together to join hands, and that is something that I admired about the project, because they have Mombasa at itself and also picking around the other communities as well. So it's bringing quite a nice brand out there, and they have a program that is running for youth in Mombasa that is Changamwe. That's where we do our practices, Changamwe Kenya Petroleum Refineries grounds. That's where you find us.
That is Kipevu.
Yes.
At the refinery.
At the refinery, yes. Yeah.
And Millicent, when you interact with these young children, when you go out there, what are the stories they tell?
They tell us they're very happy that we're engaging them to create a ground where it's neutral. They'll be able to come here and, have fun and also engage with one another. Yes.
Now let's talk about the format, the peace tournaments. How do you organize them? Putting together that tournament?
The putting together the tournament, we have one of our very own founder on the ground when it comes to Kisumu, that's Manyata United. We are working with the Manyata Youth Resource Center. So they do the mobilization. They've been doing this for the last 4 years. And for the last 4 years, they've called it Pendo Moja Peace Tournament. And that's what has been running at the moment. So they come together. We already have teams that are already pre-booked. They know every year they are booked in for that tournament. So it becomes very, because of the consistency that has been there, it becomes very easy to actually bring them all together. This time we are coming in as emerging sports management to help them run and identify the corporate partners to come in and ensure that the project is also, it's well recognized within all counties.
About how many teams and the grounds that are used?
We're actually going to use Moi Stadium this time, and we have a total of 14 teams. That's usually the trend, but this time we have quite a number that are still yet to confirm. So far we have 8 teams that have confirmed, and the running on the ground, the logistics are run by Manyata United, that's Obala, Anthony Obala, yes. Manyata United. In Mombasa Elite, our one and very own legend, that is Charles Okwemba, is the one running the program there.
Well, Charles Okwemba played for AFC Leopards, and he's a household name.
Yes.
And when you're trying to engage, for example, like somebody who's got the stature of, Okwemba, and he goes down there, does all this community work, what do they say from their experiences, having played and now getting into coaching and community mobilization?
I would say Charles is very passionate about what he does, and working with him for the last 4 months, I've actually identified the passion that he has for sports and youth development.
Actually, for football, football is his life.
Football is his life, yeah, that's Charles for you. So he's been very passionate, and as you can see how the team is performing, the performance has been quite consistent. And at the moment, we are trying to get back there where we are supposed to be. Yes, he's very passionate about the development of the program, and I'm happy to work with the team. Yeah.
Millicent, let me come to you and the partners that you're working with. See, there's Modern Coast are involved. You've got AMREF, you've got them. How does each of these institutions come, and when you hold the conversations with them, how do they want their to impact the society? How do they want their value back?
Most of them work in form of a CSR. They want to give back to the community. So, for example, if you get like the KCB that was coming on board, they're going to provide us with the footballs. They're going to kit most of the teams, so that when they go out there, the team will be able to engage with the banks, or even most of who else is coming to join us? Yeah, some of them have not confirmed yet.
Yes, some of them have not confirmed yet. But going back to AMREF, what they do, AMREF Flying Doctors, we've partnered with them. We are going to be showcasing most of their products. Some of them being the services that they offer, the evacuation services that they offer. We have Modern Coast that have partnered with Mombasa Elite for the longest time, and what they do, they come in to partner with, in terms of they are our transport partners, so they offer transport for Mombasa Elite anytime we have the games coming and going, so they support the program in that way. And we have sports tourism. What sports tourism will be doing, they are driving the agenda for COVID as it is still pronounced, and they will be having the vaccines. We've partnered with the Kisumu County as well. They will be offering the grounds for us at that particular time, and the tourism, sports tourism are coming in also to help with the vaccines at the moment. Yeah, that is still a drive that is happening. COVID vaccine, it's a drive that we are pushing. Yes.
And Millicent, when you are one of the people you've got to engage at the county governments, how do they take this up? What support do they offer to you? I know getting a stadium is one. We know they can be used for other things, but what else do they offer?
Like mainly we were speaking with one of the Condell Award initiative programs. They're kind of trying to help us bring in a team on just to be there to facilitate and find out that there'll be no clashes happening during these workshops that we're going to go on the ground. And they also want to drive the mission which Belinda was trying to say, still embrace the COVID awareness, and there'll be the injections going on and the jabs. Yes.
And Millicent, what does, for example, if you go down to Magongo Ward, what are they looking for? I mean, if you go down to Changamwe, what are they looking for when working together with the Mombasa County government?
So far as sports is concerned and the youth development is concerned, there's a lot of unemployment there right now, and everyone is trying to find a way of keeping their children engaged at this particular point in time. So far as youth development is concerned, we are trying our very best to ensure that we tap in with the right partners, we get the right partners to support the program that is ongoing, be it the girls program, be it the youth program, because we have started our youth program, our under 11s, our junior team program recently, and it is quite informative. Basically, we are trying just to ensure that the youth have a path, a growth path, so far as youth development is concerned.
How does that work? Because it's never been properly structured in Kenya. How do you do it so that it's continuous and it is, something that people can look out for 7-8 years ahead?
It's never structured, but what I've identified that Mombasa Elite is trying to do, we've partnered with quite a number of high schools. I will not mention them here, but they've partnered with quite a number.
No, there's nothing wrong. I mean, if it's legitimate, you can mention the schools.
Okay, we partnered with St. Anthony's School in Kitale, and that's our very first merger, and we're trying to ensure that there's a path for the youth. Basically, we're playing in the NSL. We have an academy that has also been launched recently, Youth Junior Academy. So there is that path that when the child comes in for the training, there is the path, there's a probability of them moving to our national team, that is Mombasa Elite, that is playing right now in the national team.
In National League, in the National Super League.
National Super League. And we also have the other opportunities coming in. We have international opportunities. There will be there's a possibility of us serving an event, an international event also for our youth as well. And basically that is something that we're trying to identify, also partnering with different organizations to see if some can get internships into not only other than football. We know not everybody will get through with football. So we are trying to have other areas whereby we bring in different partners that can get them in terms of internship, get them in terms of schools. We also have scholarships for some of them. And that is what we're trying to ensure, that education is also captured in terms of what we're doing.
Putting a child through school is a cost, and we know there's I grew up in an era where if you in some schools basically poached students from other schools and kept them there, gave them gave them a place to stay and play football.
Yes.
How are you working, Millicent, with schools to ensure that it's something that can grow? Schools are the closest we have to a development center for football.
Exactly, Mr. Wahome, I get you that. In terms of initiating sports in schools, that's one thing we will really want to engage most of the schools, especially in the rural urban areas, whereby you get children, especially like in areas like Kilifi, there's a high rate of unwanted school pregnancies and girls leaving school because they are pregnant very early. We try to bring in the head teachers and talk to them. Look here, these girls are very idle. Let's engage them in things like sports. Let's see how they go. It's not necessarily soccer. Let them do netball. Let them do volleyball. Like when I was growing up, that was the thing. You'll do sports and make it fun. Until when you go out and play and they say, this is what this girl can do better. Let's try and talk more to the headmistresses, to the headmasters, the principals, and let them know that it's important for kids to engage in sports so that we avoid unnecessary pressure, peer pressure, these post-election violences through sports.
And by the way, it's holidays, holiday time. Yes. How then do you keep this going, Millicent? Because you talked, I know right now every secondary school teacher is busy with marking of the KCSE or trying to make sure the school is in order for the reopening in a couple of months, how do you keep them going?
We engage them in the social media via trying to win them to get into the sports ground, where we have a partnership.
Yes, and also another thing we did, Wahome, last year, we had a program, Emerging Sports Management had a project, and the project was more on, we had a summer camp actually that took place, and we had to bring in a Sampdoria Italian team. The Italian coaches came in from Sampdoria. We had a summer camp, and it was quite a good event, let me say so. So we are trying to bring in and engage the youth into this kind of programs. Especially, we have the summer camp programs running. We partner with the academies. We try to bring in expertise in there, basically to see how best we can keep the youth engaged at this point in time.
Well, I can see, I mean, someone is UK based, Sampdoria. How did then, for example, did you get to engage the Serie A side?
Basically, what happened is that it was what Emerging Stars does. Basically, we also do project managements for sports. And that was a project that we managed for one of the academies here in Nairobi, in Kenya. The academy is also based in Kisumu, so I'll give them the credit. So that's how we interacted with the Sampdoria team for the first time. And I noticed that there's need for that kind of interaction for our children, especially to try and bring them into the international standards kind of sports. We also had a project with Emerging Sports Management at the very beginning, and that's where Simon came in, and we had an international director, sports director, coming in from England. And right now on our lineup, we have got quite a number of other activities, but basically, so far as keeping the youth engaged is one of our major focus during the school holidays. So we'll be having quite a number of programs running for the youth during the holidays.
Millicent, it's a whole series of activities between now, or I can say for the next 2 weeks or so. What does that calendar look like? If you start with the engagement that you'd like to do, so that you can get more partners coming in, and then the Kisumu events and the Mombasa events.
Basically, how we have programmed that, I'll take it from Millicent.
Okay.
Yeah, basically because we're the operations planning team. Yeah, so basically how we plan it, Millie is just selling. So we're operation and planning. So what happens is that we had a breakfast event that was scheduled, and this is going to take place in, we have a confirmed place in Manyata. We are moving everything to Kisumu right now because that's where the focus is. So at the moment we have the breakfast event that will be at Manyata area. We have one of the hotels that is to confirm where we're going to be having the breakfast for the stakeholders. And after that we'll be having, that is on the 6th basically, because the International Day for Peace is on the 6th. So we are trying to celebrate and bring the stakeholders together. And number 2, we are going to have a one-day workshop right before the tournament, and just to bring the coaches, the participants together and have the workshop and talk about the importance of embracing peace. And this will be chaired by the AfriNov, Africa Center for Nonviolence. They will be taking that on. Then after that, there's the Mombasa event is yet to be confirmed, and we are actually trying to ensure that we have it right before the children, the youth go back to school.
Nairobi, how would I say it? Nairobi is another place.
Yes.
How do you engage people here in Nairobi? I like that you're going out there to the places that are outside of the capital.
Yes.
What about this town of ours?
Nairobi actually was one of our major areas that we had looked into as well. But you'll find that Nairobi is more is more of our youth program. Basically, most of our summer camps, we have most of our summer camps in Nairobi. So on this particular one, we were trying to move out and reach to the main youth, who are actually the ones we're trying to target for this event, because this event is purely focusing on the seniors. And as much as we would want the seniors to participate, we also want to sell the idea that our youth, the youth that is coming up, our generation, not after us, the generation after us, what are we trying to embrace? What are we trying to educate them on? So we are trying to ensure that Nairobi is not is also captured, but we have more. Nairobi, we have more of the summer camps centrally focusing on Nairobi.
When's the summer camp?
The summer camp this time we did, but we are going to have one in December.
In December.
We are going to have one in December.
Reaching out to girls, for example, in other parts of the country, Millicent, what needs to be done so that it is understood that sport is integral and that there are opportunities that will arise, not just athletics, volleyball, as it is in the country at the moment, but even through football. Interesting enough, I always count that the Harambee Starlets outperform the Harambee Stars. The records are there to show later.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I was giving you the option in regards to Kilifi. Yeah, when we were going to do this tournament, we have a few girls teams that are coming up. So some of the corporates are
Maybe around moving the goalposts?
Yes.
In that,
Exactly. So when they come over on board to play the football, soccer, we also partner with other companies to be able to offer them, like with the sanitary towels during that time also as well. And also not forgetting that sometimes that, especially here in Nairobi, there are some youth, especially women or girls rather, what we're talking about, they engage in very many extracurricular activities. So we're coming up with summer camps for them, just to engage them and teach them when ladies grow up, this is how they're supposed to engage themselves through sports. We're talking about hockey, we're talking about soccer, there's netball, which people have already forgotten about. Yes.
Actually, netball is growing and quite interesting, I have to say, and it's going all across.
Yes.
From your side, which other sports would you try pick up, depending on where a locality you go to? If you go to Iten, you'll have to talk athletics.
To talk athletics, yeah.
And if you go to where I come from, you'll have to speak volleyball.
Yes. Yeah. We are looking at basketball, and yes, we are also trying to identify how we can move into netball and encourage more girls to come in. But soccer is picking up very fast in terms of the girls as well. And we're looking at basketball, netball, volleyball, as you've said. Yes, and those are the areas we are actually looking at. And talk about the women, we have the Digital Women League that is taking place always in Machakos, Kamba area. That is also one of our newest projects that is coming up. It's only women's
that
team.
Interesting. Explain, tell me about that Digital Women's League.
Yeah, there's a Digital Women's League that runs in Kamba, Ukambani, Machakos County. So that is also one of our projects that we're trying to initiate so far as women are concerned.
How does it work, given the name Digital?
Digital. Basically, how it works is that we're trying to ensure that we digitize the youth, the programs that are running. We partner with people like the foundations that are geared towards, we're talking about Microsoft, we're trying to look at Oracle to come in, we're trying to look at Cisco to come in. Those are the big brands that we're trying to work with at the mashinani level on this kind of programs.
Millicent, your work is basically to get the money to run such an institution. What are the conversations that you always reach out to that somebody would use, and how they can get to you so that you're able to make sure that all her programs run? Because I would know that over the last 2 years, the pandemic hit sports.
Yes, it
and
did.
Entertainment hard. Budgets meant for sport were the first to go.
Yes, exactly. I'm telling you, it was a tough time. Yeah.
So how are you getting back to this?
This one, let me take it briefly to Belinda, and then I'll wrap it up because she's the one who's mainly.
So basically, yes, we were really attacked in terms of sports budgets being cut during the COVID time, and it was really a hard hit. So basically, what we are trying to ensure, the conversations that we have right now, like, yes, people are telling us their budgets, they don't have the budget right now, maybe next time. So we're trying to encourage our partners, yes, the budget may not be there, but let's try and do like a CSR program whereby you donate things like kits, be it the balls. I'm sure this is something that is within your budget. And you'll find that most of the time, there's a budget always for marketing. And sports is also an area whereby if you utilize it well, it can really market your brand outside there. So why not take advantage of that as well? Use sports to position your brand. And at this time, we're talking to partners to use sports to position their brand as advocates for peace. So that is also, that's not just a sports budget, that's also a marketing budget to use a different channel to position your brand out there.
Right.
Yes.
Millicent.
Back to me. As we wrap it, as we wrap it up, the way she has said, it's all about the initiative of the CSR departments in every corporate development, how will I say, organizations. And then what we're trying to do is bring out this pitch all about what do you see in this? What do you see in a long term? Whenever I go out to pitch about sports or about any passion I have, I will ask you, you see it in a long term. Don't see it at a short term, like, oh, this one, I don't have this budget right now. And yet, in essence, you always have a budget for team building. So I'd rather see it in terms of a team building when I'm trying to pitch sports. So that's how I've been able to bring in the corporate.
Oh, create that subliminal messaging that comes through. Anytime that, because I've been sponsored by this institution,
yes,
when I think of a product around that, they're the first to come.
They're the first to come.
Now, finally, as you close, Belinda.
Yes.
To the people of Kisumu, what? Just a reminder where they will find you.
Yeah.
If for the football, they are very football mad.
Yes.
If they are going to pay anything at the gates. Things like that.
Yeah, actually, yes. Considering that we're trying to bring the teams and fundraise for them, we will be at the Moi Stadium from the 11th. That's where you'll find us.
That's a week from now.
That's a week from now. We are actually, our numbers are there on our posters currently. We are based at Delta Towers, Westlands, 13th floor. That's where you can find me. And for our sponsors, we are trying to reach out to collaborating. We want to collaborate with institutions that would want to partner us with this Peace Initiative tournament. We want to position those organizations that want to position their brands and use peace as the agenda. You can actually reach us on our email addresses are there, our Facebook, Emerging Sports Management, that is actually running.
All right.
Yes.
And Millicent, to the people across the country, how the message for them to embrace sport as a platform for social development?
And the message I'd like to have for the people across the country is we are very delighted to bring this sports event on board, and we'd like everyone to get engaged so that we do not get wayward with our feelings in terms of after our elections and everything.
Yeah.
We should all come on common ground, and sports is one of the real passions in life whereby people will just come and play and forget all about our problems. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Belinda Rajema. She is the head of partnerships at Emerging Sports Management, and we have got Millicent Apondi, who's the head of sales at the same institution. And earlier we had their CEO Simon Smith joining us from the United Kingdom, telling us about how they're working on the football side, using this sport as a platform for peace and social change. And remember that on Wednesday it's the International Day for Sport for Peace and Development. It's one of the stories that we will be following. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We'll take a short break, and when we come back, let's talk about youngsters in 3x3 basketball. a sport that's basically meant for the street. It's meant to be explosive and fast. Let's find out how the Kenya Basketball Federation is working around that.
Huh?
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
FM ilayska ummadda.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
Don't ever insult her again if you don't want me to rip what's left of your face.
Yeah, why don't you try? What do you know about this planned development with some investors in Costa Alegre Bay?
I don't trust that woman, much less any business she brings in.
It would mean a lot to me if I know that you're not against it.
Dorothy Nielsen was in fact murdered. And from the looks of it, it seems her body was dumped just a few hours after she died.
Lying heart. Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición.
And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning on the 4th of April, 2022. It's a day when the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, they're having an election preparedness workshop at event at the Kenya School of Government. And together with other players, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and other state agencies to ensure that the country fully understands what's required of them as we head to the August 9th election. And also, the East Africa Legislative Assembly MPs are having a sensitization function, and this is at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. Those are just two of some of the events that our news team is covering for us this morning. And we now get into our second conversation, and this is about 3x3 basketball. It's a sport that's played in the streets, in the gyms, and is meant to be exciting and explosive. Basically, it's for entertainment, but it has become an Olympic sport. Kenya is going to be represented by the men's and women's teams at the Commonwealth Games and also at the Africa Youth Games. Kenya is going to have a team. And yesterday, the youngsters they had an opportunity to get in and knock on the doors of the national team. We'll get into that conversation with the coach of the under-16s 3x3 basketball team, Shem Otieno. He's at my extreme left. Thank you very much, Coach.
Yeah.
After a tough weekend, we've got to say.
Yeah.
And then we've got Terence Hill Musimbi. Good morning and welcome to KBC.
Thank you.
Well, she's a 3x3 basketball player, and on my immediate right, we have got Emily Amunga. She also plays basketball, that 3x3 basketball. So, as we get into that conversation, let me introduce my sign language interpreter at this point. Her name is Lenta Odingo. And I'll start with you, Emily. Just give us a story of how you got into basketball and where you school.
I school at Our Lady of Mercy. I started playing basketball in 2019 when I was joining Form 1. Actually,
Our Lady of Mercy?
Yeah.
Which county?
It's in Nairobi County.
Okay, good.
I started playing basketball when I was in Form 1. Actually, I didn't like basketball.
Why?
I thought it was a sport for boys. So my uncle, who's my coach, got me into it, so I had to play it. Since the high school I was going to was playing basketball, so I had to start playing it.
Who's your uncle?
Coach Moses Msusi.
Yeah. So he convinced you. So were you convinced or you obeyed?
I obeyed.
You wouldn't want to disobey your uncle. And what has been the experience for the last 3 years playing basketball?
Basketball has exposed me to so much opportunities, like attending camps. I attended FIBA camp, Hustle Hard camp, Task, and also basketball is helping me in my studies through scholarship. Yeah.
Well, benefiting through sport, those are some of the little stories that we always like to hear. And let me come to you, Terence Hill Musimbi. You know, Terence Hill is an actor we really, really loved. When we were much younger, Coach Shem would know together with the sidekick of his was known as Bud Spencer. But how did you get into basketball?
I started playing basketball when I was in standard 5. I'm schooling at Butcher Girls High School, which is in Kakamega County. First, I was discouraged by my fellow friends that I'm short, I can't play basketball. But my coach kept on encouraging me. My dad kept on encouraging me that I can play basketball. When I first went for a tournament in Umoja, there's a coach called Coach Martin, and Coach Shem kept on encouraging me, telling me that basketball is not only for the tall guys or tall people. You can also play basketball.
In standard 5, where were you in school at that point?
Yes.
Which school was it?
It's called Mandare Community Outreach. Yes.
Yeah. And how did you grow into the sport? And now that you're even in secondary school?
I kept on playing basketball. When I first got my trophy, my MVP trophy, I was in standard 8, Africa's Dream basketball. I went on for a camp, global, called Hassolad, Task, where I play as a point guard. That's where the coach kept on exposing me. Then basketball is also benefiting me through scholarship. Yes.
And your MVP trophy, how did you win it?
I don't know, but
obviously you played a big role for your team.
Yes. Also, basketball is about being aggressive, your skills, how you showcase your talent to the others. Yes.
All right, and Coach Shem, let me come to you now. For a very long time, five-a-side basketball has been the thing. How did you get into now 3x3?
Okay, basically I got to 3x3 in 2018 through our second vice chair, that is Hilmi, who is the one leading out the 3-on-3 in Kenya. And he invited us for a training for that. And then after that, I got interested in it. And because I ran a basketball academy, so I started introducing it into the academy in terms of just playing it. Because before we were just playing it, because I myself, I was a player of 3x3 before, but we didn't get these opportunities that are there. So from 2018 now is when now we started getting up all these opportunity coming up in terms of also representation of the of Kenya to the international and regional tournaments. So, and basically now that started building up on me, and because mostly I concentrate with the development aspect from the at the grassroots level, so that's why I started engaging in that to this moment. Yeah.
Now, I want to say around 2018, come 2019, Kenya sent 2 teams to the African Games in Morocco, and a bronze medal was won by the women's team. What kind of impact has that had on 3x3 basketball?
Actually, even the team that went to Morocco, we had one of the players from the academy, that is Far East Basketball Academy, based in Kayole. And she also won the best 3-point shooting,
yes,
holding the title right now in Africa. So we are proud of that, and that also has encouraged so much young kids like Emily, Terence to start picking up that mantle to push to the next level. So it has been really, really great. And right now the task that we have as coaches is that we need to push it more into the grassroots level and bring up the aspect of entertainment in it, and the aspect of just enjoying, and that is how kids start building the psyche to participate in basketball. Yeah.
All right, and coach, right now I'd like to engage coach and give us the whole aspect of 3x3 basketball, because it has a few tweaks from conventional basketball. First of all, the number of players per side, limited to 4, thinking behind that?
Yeah, the number of players are 4. That is 3 playing and 1 sub. So, and there is no coaching. That is the beauty of it. It's now, and also it's built the leadership of players, because there is no coach who is going to tell you, oh, you have to move this way. No, you have to arrange yourself, the 4 of you, and then play. So the first team to 21 wins the game, and the game is always run in terms of 12 minutes stopping. So the first team that reaches 21, the game is done.
And this is where I want to engage you about the scoring system, because it's different. Normally the free throw is a point. If you're outside the the 3-point line. I mean, if you're on the 3-point line or inside, it's 2 points.
2 points, yeah.
And behind that line is 3. The scoring in 3x3.
Yeah, the scoring in 3x3, if you are inside the 3-point line, that is 1 point. If you're in the free throw line, that is also 1 point. And then if you're outside the 3-point line, that is 2 points, not rather than 3 points as usual. That is 2 points. And also in terms of the fouling system is also different, because in the conventional basketball environment, it's 5 fouls. I mean 4 team foul, and you go and shoot. But for this it's different, because it has to reach 7 fouls, and then you have 2 shots. When it reaches 10 fouls, you have 2 shots and the possession. So you see, that is totally different. Yeah.
Well, explain that possession factor, because it's actually the other thing is that it's played on half a court with only 1 rim.
Yes. So each team, when it starts, compared to the normal 5-on-5, you toss the ball up. Now this, you toss a coin. So either team chooses between head and tail, and then the team that wins either checks the ball, and that's where the game starts. So, and then you don't go outside. When you score, the other team don't go outside. They pick the ball underneath. There's the no charge zone. That is now our outside bound. That is where you start the ball. So you don't work with it out, and immediately you kick it out, and you have to step outside the 3-point line and then come back and score. So that is, it has so many nitty-gritty details on it that comprises, and it builds the IQ of players. And if you get players who understand how to play it well, it becomes more interesting.
Well, and let me come to you, Terence. For most people, when you start basketball, you start off the conventional way, with a conventional 5-a-side basketball. How was the shift to 3x3 for you?
It was kind of hard, because you're used to play 5-on-5. Then they introduced the 3-on-3. So you just have to cooperate. But if you are very aggressive and you are very good in basketball, it can be hard to you.
Explain that transition about how you cooperate with the other two players and the aggression required?
Just have to agree. If I want the heads, when they check me the ball, I'll tell my fellow players where to play. Everybody there has their possession. If I'm playing one, I'll be the one being checked the ball. But not only the one can be checked the ball, also the 2 or the 3 man or the 5 man. Yes.
And let me come to you, Emily. Your experience is playing 3x3 basketball.
So me, when I started playing 3x3, it was hard for me to follow the rules because I forget. There's a line that you're not supposed to pass, so I forget, I pass. But in time, I copied and I learned how to play it well.
Yes, that is Emily, and she plays 3x3 basketball. There was a tournament for the under-16s, and that was over the weekend, and all building up to the Africa Youth Games. We shall be coming back to this conversation, but right now, let's move over to the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where we've got the East African Legislative Assembly, and they are having the workshop there. So let us move over to the KICC and listen.
And therefore to reap and maximize the benefits from the regional integration process. At the same time, we are aware of the devastating effects of the COVID-19 in the entire globe, reducing on significant gains of development. Therefore, strengthening the common market at this point in time is critical to reverse the negative gains, spur development, and to direct economic development and trickle-down effect for the EAC. Similarly, it needs to be stated for the record that EALA sensitization programs continue to be one of the flagship initiatives for the Assembly. The Fourth Assembly has carried on with the tradition of regularly sensitizing citizens on the integration process since the arrangement was conceived by the Second Assembly over 10 years ago. The thematic area of the common market, which is the second pillar after the custom union, anticipates 4 freedoms of factors of production and 2 rights. Of the EAC common market include the following: free movement of goods, free movement of persons, labor, stroke workers, free movement of services, free movement of capital, right of establishment, and right of residence. Key sector areas components envisioned under the common market protocol and for which the sensitization shall focus on include customs, agriculture, food security, energy and trade. Others are health, immigration and labor, culture, tourism and natural resources, as well as investment, promotion and private sector development. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, in many ways the common market protocol is necessary to scale up the integration process. Since the entry of the common market in 2010, partner states, nationals for example, have enjoyed a legal framework allowing for labor mobility as well as spousal and dependent rights. At least 3 partner states, Kenya, Uganda and Rwanda, today use national ID cards as travel documents across the said borders for their citizens. In addition, the 3 partner states are already using machine-readable passports and machine-readable IDs and passports which meet the International Civil Aviation Organization standards. The other partner states also accept the national ID, although one must also have a temporary travel permit in addition to the ID.
And that speaking was
smooth and free movement of persons,
who is the Vice Chair of the East African Legislative Assembly, Kenya chapter. And our reporter at that event is Farah Yusuf. He's going to be giving us an update on that. And that was a sensitization briefing by the East African Legislative Assembly MPs on how the region is integrating as far as the movement of goods, services, and people is concerned, and how much we are closer to becoming not just a political bloc, but also an economic union, which means that being in Tanzania, in Kenya, or Uganda, Rwanda, and now the Democratic Republic of Congo is being in the same place. We shall be getting a full brief on that later. We get back to our conversation, and it is about 3x3 basketball. The Africa Youth Games will be taking place in August. Egypt is the host country, the third nation to have been picked to host that event after changes, change after change. Ethiopia was the last, but they opted out. Now Egypt are the ones who are going to do that. 3x3 basketball is one of the sports where Kenya is expected to be represented. And in studio with us, we've got Emily Amunga. She's on my immediate left. She's a 3x3 basketball player, and she is at Our Lady of Mercy School here in Nairobi. From Butere Girls, we've got Terence Hill Musimbi, and we've got their coach, Shem Otieno. And now, the process of picking a team to represent the country at the youth games is one that is always a challenge for any coach. So over the weekend you had this event where the youngsters were playing, and let me just take a look at this. Girls semi-final, Hawks against Umoja 1, Hawks winning 18-14. Swaga against Stars 16-10. Swaga won. Hawks against Swaga 15-13. That was for the girls semis, and that's where they are from. Tell us about this tournament.
Okay, basically the way you've said it, it's a process picking up the national team. And for the weekend, basically what was happening, we were doing the Nairobi edition. So we'll be having also the Mombasa edition, and also Kisumu and other parts of the country. And also now all these youngsters, we're going to bring them in a national tryout. Now from there we're going to pick up the best for the nation. So it's still a journey, it's not yet over. So we're still having Kisumu, also they're going to do their tryouts, Eldoret, Mombasa, Nakuru, and also Kisii, so that now we can have a national outlook. So yeah, but for this weekend we picked 15 girls and 15 boys who are now going to represent the Nairobi at the national tryout level. Yeah.
What were you looking for specifically in the 30 players that you picked?
Okay, one important thing is for the 3x3 the scoring ability, which is very great, and the skills, and then also in terms of size, which is very much important, and speed is also key, because 3x3 really it's a one-on-one game aspect. So speed is also very, very key. So if you don't have the size, you have the speed. Yeah, and Terence here is one of the best guards we have right now at that age category in terms of her speed is great. I can say that. So those are some of the things we are looking at very much. Yeah.
And Terence, being selected, the coach has said it's two things. He's looking at size, he's looking at speed, he's looking at skill. Let's talk about how you keep your speed going as a basketballer.
Training. Practice makes perfect, as they say. Yes, that's what I do. If you come for training every day, that's you work on your speed, you work on your skills, you work on your handles, just be okay.
Just take us through what an ordinary training day for you would be like.
Like for me, I attend training at 2, my personal training first. I shoot.
Now that you're on holiday, yes?
Yes. I shoot. I work on my speed by going through the court for 10 seconds, running. Yes.
That's the entire court. Is it the suicides or just simple sprint?
Simple
back and
the entire court, back and front, 10 seconds. Yes.
Well, that would take, that you've told us about your shooting skill and that. And what about feet movement?
Also, when you're playing basketball, you have to share the ball with the rest. Basketball, you can't play alone. Yes, that's why there are other players. Indeed, it's a one-on-one game, but you have to also to share the ball. If you have a mismatch, you can tell other players that this is my mismatch. You can beat and score. But if you can't, you just pass the ball, go help the other person, screen the other person for the rest to be free. We also play together.
And by the way, since you're based in Butere, if schools were on, would you have picked Kakamega as a place to go for the Kisumu as a place to go for the trials? Ungefika huko? Confident sana. Unasema tu rahisi, ungewaweza wote. Emily, tell us about some of the key strengths that you know you have.
Me, I play as a foreman. Actually, I can say I can play all positions, but in the 3-on-3, I play as a foreman. I get rebounds. Yeah, I can shoot. I can go for layups. Yeah.
So ideally, if you're playing 5x5, you play as a forward or as a guard?
I play as a small forward. Yeah, I can do everything. Yeah.
You can do everything about that. And now, coach, what's the next, criteria that you're going to use to keep them active? We know that there's still about another 6-7 weeks for school holidays.
Yeah.
How then do you keep the players that you have active? The 30 you've selected, the 15 boys, the 15 girls.
Okay, the ones we've selected, most of them come from different academies. So we do follow up with the coaches in terms of training program. And from tomorrow, we'll be having a meeting with other coaches to design a program in terms of how we'll be engaging them in terms of weekly basics to just be working together for them. Yeah.
Developing that, such that if you pick somebody from Mombasa, from Nakuru, from Kisumu, Eldoret, such that if you pick them up, there is some common thinking, around how you play the basketball in the country. How do you do that? Such that even by the time they get to the senior team, it's very, the selection process becomes trickier, but the excitement of the sport is there.
One of the things is that as coaches, we deliberate. We have a WhatsApp group in terms of how we deliberate on what specific that we really need to work on for these athletes. So basically, when I'm here in Nairobi, and the other coaches who are in Mombasa, the other coaches who are in Kisumu, we deliberate exactly what we need. What I said in terms of we need speed, we need to work on skills development, we need our players to be good shooters, because mostly if you check around, we don't have that height, or we are limited with that height. So that means we need to cover with speed, and our shooting ability has to be high, and also our ball handling skills have to be high. So those are some of the things that now we spread into the other coaches, so that now when we are working in, those are the things that we're working, so that now when they come into at the national level, every player is at par with what we need, and it gives us now an easy way in terms of selecting to the next level. Yeah.
And Terence, from the weekend, what are some of the things you've learned playing against other players who are based in Nairobi, and you getting a chance to be called up to represent the country?
I've learned how to match up with your man without helping anybody else. When you match up with your man, it means that you can't let her take the ball. If she takes the ball, you need to play her a very strong defense so that she can't be able to pass the ball or to kill the dribble, so that the possession can be yours. Yes.
Without risking any foul.
Yes.
Yeah. And for you, Emily, learning lessons from the weekend?
Yeah, me, I've learned to play with different players from different places with their strengths and weaknesses. Also, I've learned about teamwork. Yeah.
What was, playing against players from different places, playing against players from different places?
So you learn, like maybe when you meet here, it's not only that place that you'll meet. Maybe you'll meet somewhere else, so you'll know their weakness, their strength. Yeah.
All right. Now, as you do the national selection process, are you working with schools to ensure that this is achieved?
Okay.
Once schools open and it has to continue in about another 5 venues, how are you working with them?
Okay. Through the Kenya School Sports Association, that is the organization that we work closely with. So, and for the last, since the corona aspect, there have been very difficulties in terms of access to schools because of the regulations put by the Ministry of Health. So, but we are hoping for this coming term now, and at least the regulations have been eased, we are able now to go back and also reach out to more young people in school, because high school now forms the basis of development of basketball. Apart from the academies that are around at the grassroots level, the next level is the high schools. So we are really much aware about that, and once the schools are open, we really need to engage more on that and also introduce the 3x3 basketball event at the school level.
Okay. Yeah. I'll let you two have the final one. We know the last 2 years have been tough. Sports in school at 8th grade level have been suspended except for national team assignments. Those are the regulations from the Ministry of Sport. What's the plea that you'd like now that you have been called up to national team duty? Hopefully, you know, because there is still people from other counties ambao watakuja sasa mshindane nao kuingia kwa timu.
Yes. I'll just keep on training, because out of this they also try, they always want to pick the best 4. So I would like to train hard so that I can also be picked to play for the Kenya national team with the best 4 on the 3-on-3.
Have you been allowed to train individually, even if it's alone in school?
In school, not really.
Not really.
Yes.
But you hope that it does happen. Oh. How are you going to keep up with this? As you know, the coach and the federation, you know, try and make provisions for you to train.
As for me, I'll keep on training, and also it's good to watch games and see how people relate with the 3-on-3 so that I can get some skills from there.
Okay, well, explosive basketball, 3-on-3 basketball, played over 10 minutes, 3 players with 1 sub, and 21 is a point. If you get to 21 inside the 10 minutes, the game is over. If you, whoever has the highest score within the 10 minutes of play, the game is over. And by the way, if you are on 20 and you score 22, it's bust.
Yeah, it's over 21, so you win the game.
You win the game. Yeah. Very easy. Yeah. So a lot of basketball IQ required for that. Thank you very much, Coach Shem Otieno. He is an coach with the under-16s for 3x3 basketball. Remember, it's all in the build-up to the Africa Youth Games that take place in Egypt, and that is in the month of August. And also we have got Terence Hill here with us. Terence Hill Musimbi, she is a student at Butere Girls and plays 3x3 basketball. Thank you, and congratulations on being provisionally picked for the national team. And we have got Emilia Munga. She is a student at Our Lady of Mercy School here in Nairobi, and congratulations on being picked provisionally for the Africa Youth Games squad. Work hard, hope that you'll be on that final list of 4 in August. Thank you very much. We shall be taking a short break, and when we come back, we shall be talking lone bowls. Yes, lone bowls. Just understand that about rolling a ball on grass and trying to beat your opponent around that. We'll be joined by Mumu Musembi of the Kenya Bowling Association next.
Uja umekamilika. Twarejea kwa udi na uvumba, kwa vishindo si haba, nderemo na vifijo. Tulia tuli, maana mambo si kama kawaida tena, kwani kupitia runinga yako ya KBC ushapata tarehe. Vitimbi kila Jumatatu jioni saa 1:35. Usikose.
What's up, party people? It's your party daddy, and tonight it's all about good vibes, fresh and clean.
You say I love you, no day for me young girl. Steady rocking on the midnight train to Zion.
To Sports Check on this Monday morning, and yeah, it's a day when we're having conversations around sports. And next we're going to be having a conversation, and this is about a sport that's played on grass. Well, you know about lawn bowls. I know at times you know about the bowling alley. I mean, there are those who go to the bowling alleys. It's what makes people know as bowling. When you've got the pins, try hit the pins, and once that entire set goes down, then it becomes different. But right now, we're going to be talking about one that's played in, I would say, quite some serene environment. And joining us this morning is Chair of the Kenya Bowling Association. We've got Musembi Mumo. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and that means over the weekend you had the Pairs Championship of at the Limuru Country Club. But before we come to that, you know, basically you could tell us about this sport and how it's played in, you know, in the simple way.
Well, bowling, you play with what is called a wood. So I'll just pick one up. It fits in your hand and you roll it. So you roll it on grass. We play on a grass green that is about 40 meters by 40 meters. And the aim is to get as close as possible to a white ball, which is called a jack. So in this scenario, let's say my woods are the black ones and yours is the blue one.
Okay.
Because this, for now, is protecting what the jack is, your blue ball is nearer to the jack. So when we finish the game, we see whose is closer. Whoever is closer gets a point. So in this scenario, you would get 1 point with your blue ball. But if the scenario changed and the blue ball was far away and my 3 black were nearer, then I would get a point for each of my balls. So I can get up to 4 points in an end. Maximum, minimum is 1, maximum is 4. So you play up and down on the pitch, which is about 40 meters long, for 18 ends. So 18 times a competition.
So that means 9 this way
and 9 back.
And 9 back.
And 9 back. Every time we play, you do your 4, I do my 4. But we do alternate. I throw 1, you throw 1. So eventually, when we finish all our 4 balls is when we score. But in between, you know, the game changes. Sometimes you'll find yours is nearer, so you say you are holding a shot. Because at that point in time, you have 1 point. Then I bring my next one. It knocks you out and stays. Now I am holding the shot. So the game can change. I can even cut All that is allowed. So the key is for you to be good enough to either knock the guy out or to beat him. Now the wood, because sometimes somebody will be in your way, and unless you're bowling from that end,
yes,
you have to go around. The wood has a weight. One side is slightly heavier than the other, so it curves when it rolls and comes back. So I can actually come round this ball all the way around and come back to here, going round it. So it doesn't go in a straight line, it curves slightly. It's called a bias. It allows you then to go around your opponents and that kind of thing. So the game can be very exciting and interesting as we play. That helpful?
Okay. Well, so here is the thing. This sports 7 venues is where we find it being played in Kenya. You could tell us about those places.
So historically, there were a lot more bowling greens, but some have over time passed away. So the original federation was formed in 1954 with Nairobi City Club Bowling Green, which was based at City Park. It's now a restaurant called Bowling Green, but the bowling greens are still there. We're looking to try and revive that one. The police had quite a number of clubs. Right now, we're in 7 venues.
All right, let me just interrupt. I'll come back to you on that. But happening right now is Water Secretary Samuel Alima, and we also have got the government spokesman, Cyrus Oguna. They're engaging on water projects. Let us listen in.
One to cater for Tana River County, Tana River and Lamu, called Garsen Lamu Water Project. That one we have also at the design stage. We are now sourcing for funding so that it is done. Yeah. So once those is done, once those projects are done, Coast Region is well planned. For the next 30 years, it's well planned. Yeah.
Very well, engineer. Maybe also before you hand over, sorry to take you back, but we are now looking into the possibility of receiving rains. The weather, the weatherman has told that the rain could be coming in the next couple of days. And, this is not the first time that we'll be experiencing some rain. It has always been there in some parts of the country. And when it rains, it could be a lot of rain. And this rain, the water just flows downstream into rivers and also into lakes, even into oceans. What could be done in order for our people to get into the habit and the practice of harvesting and storing water so that water can be used in the future when there is no rain? Not just for areas like, for instance, in the Rift or even areas in Nyanza, Western, where it rains, but also when it rains in the Asal region, that in their own small way they can be able to store water and be able to use them when the rains disappear, even before other interventions by the government can step in.
Thank you so much, Cyrus, for that good question. We have elaborated the number of dams that we are doing, large dams, medium dams, and water pans that we are doing to harvest water when it rains. Now, last year we had a new policy, the seasonal paper number 1 of 2021. That went further and we developed strategies. But the policy is encouraging water harvesting. The policy is encouraging communities to undertake water harvesting. When you build your own house, we are encouraging that you do a storage tank. A small storage tank that is enough for you for the driest period. Because in Kenya we know that it can be 3 months very dry. So you have a storage tank that can serve you for the next 3 months that will be dry. So as the ministry, what we are now going out is to set out teams to advise Kenyans, teams to advise people. Teams, even when you are at the local level, you can be provided with what you need to do. So that the roof is you catch everything, you collect everything from that roof. Because they have to measure the roof and advise you that this is the size of the tank you need for the 3 months that it will be dry. So the policy is encouraging water harvesting, both at community level, both at household level, starting from household level, community level, up to the national level. The national level, we are doing dams, all right, but community level, household level, they also need storage. They also need storage. We need to get into a habit of having storage. I was in Senegal recently, and they told us that the last time it rained in 4 days. in August last year. And then after that, they have never seen rain. But the community, people at house level, because when it rained for those 4 days, it is too much rain that there's a lot of flooding. So you will find at household level, they have stored their water. The same thing happens in Israel, that people store water even at our household level. So we want to encourage Kenyans that we be storing water even at house level, and we be conserving the catchment. Yeah, because we have all along we have got the belief that water is a social good. Water comes from God, but water is a commodity that we cannot live without. Yeah, because our bodies need water. So we want to encourage our people to go into the habit of storing water. Storing to the capacity that you can afford. Yeah. Storing to the capacity that you can afford for use when it is scarce. Yeah. And that has been encouraged by the policy. We have developed a strategy. So in the next 2 weeks, I will have teams all over moving and disseminating this information and assisting Kenyans on what to do. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer. Indeed, the word is that let's get into the practice of storing water at household level, but also at community level before we look at the national level. Because even the national level really is aggregation of what is happening at this household level and also the community level. Once we are able to achieve that at those two levels, then certainly we'll be able to have sufficient water to use anytime we are in a situation of drought like the one we are experiencing right now. Just been a bit, of a distress in many of the 24 counties affected, whereby water is such a precious commodity and they can't see it. So if they were to get to that habit for storing water, we would certainly be having something that they can use. Right now, they have to rely on, intervention, water tracking by the government to be able to provide water as we wait for the rains to come. So I think the message here is that let's get into the habit and the practice of storing water, or water harvesting and storing, at both the household level as well as the community level. But perhaps, Engineer, just before we end this session is you talked about 1.8 trillion, which is quite a tidy sum of money. Is there perhaps any collaboration with other stakeholders to be able to help us achieve this?
Thank you so much, Cyrus. That is a level of funding that the government cannot get. And therefore, we are using development partners. I talked of the 52 towns. That is support we are getting from Africa Development Bank. Of course, that is government money.
We have been listening to Engineer Shamalalima, who is the Water Secretary, and they are talking about the water situation in Kenya and this is at the office of the government spokesman, Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna, and the key message is conserve water, make sure you harvest all the water that you have, and that way the country would be secure such that if there is some dry spell, then all that water, especially from the rains, does not go to waste. Kevin Washira is our reporter at that event, and he's going to give us a brief in our subsequent bulletins. We get back to a conversation, and this is about a sport that is played on grass, and we are with Musembi Bumo from the Kenya Bowling Association. He was giving us a demonstration on how the scoring for this sport works. And Musembi, before we get back to the pictures about, the playing, about the kits that we have here and how to score and actually how to roll out this woods that you've put here, you could tell us about the venues. First of all, you mentioned about City Park in Nairobi, where we've got the famous Bowling Green restaurant. That's one. You could tell us about the others.
So currently, bowling clubs are 7 in Kenya. We have 3 in Nairobi County, that is Karen Country Club, Muthaiga Country Club and Nairobi Club. In Kiambu County, we have Ruiru Sports Club and Limuru Country Club. Nakuru County, we have Njoro Sports Club. And in Mombasa County, we have Mombasa Sports Club. So those are the current 7 bowling clubs that we have. They are all in private members clubs, but we're in discussions with the government to try and set up a public bowling green at the newly opened Jamhuri Poster grounds. And that we will push as fast as possible so that we can take the game to wananchi and to the youth.
Well, now, besides the pairs that you had yesterday that were played at the Limuru Country Club, and we saw in the semis Benson Kariuki and Frida Mwangi, winning against James Nkoge and Halina Pelini. Then Charles Madenge, Douglas Nyabuto, they lost to Esi Ndungu and Anwar Hamada. Eventually, the pair of Benson Kariuki and Frida eventually winning. So, tell us about the next events as for your season that are coming up.
For our season, we are having an event coming up in the next 2 weeks. That's a very big event. It's called the Coast Open. It's played at Mombasa Sports Club, and the event will be for 4 days. That is the Easter weekend. All 4 days on Easter will be at Mombasa Sports Club, and we encourage any bowlers or guys who want to learn the game on the weekend of Easter to join us at Mombasa Sports Club and see first-class bowlers. We'll have quite a number of Kenya international bowlers playing there, as well as our hosts from Mombasa. So it'll be a good 4-day festival of bowls.
All right. And also we also have got one the national singles competition, and this is going to be at the Ruiru Sports Club on the 1st of May.
Yes, on the 1st of May we have our biggest tournament of the year, which is called the National Singles. It'll be played at Ruiru Sports Club over 3 days. That's a Labor Day weekend, May 1st. So again, if you happen to be in the Ruiru area, welcome to Ruiru Sports Club to watch it play. It's big because the winner of that event goes to represent it's men's and ladies singles, so there'll be a lady champion and a men's champion. The champion of that event goes to represent Kenya at the World Bowls Champion of Champions, which is an annual tournament. Next year it will be held in Australia, and we try to send champions every year. Even this year we have a team traveling for that in November. Coming up in the next 2 weeks in April, we're sending a team to UK to compete in the World Indoor Singles Championships. So we have a lot of things in the pipeline, and of course in August we will be at the Commonwealth Games representing Kenya, and hopefully all of that will go well.
How different is outdoors and indoors? Because from the demonstration that, from what we know here, outdoors any day would work.
Well, what has happened is that there's an AstroTurf version. So because it's played on a grass green, there's AstroTurf. A lot like hockey and football, you can have AstroTurf. So these are indoor surfaces. So because in the UK they want to play in winter, when it's not possible to play outdoors because of the cold, they have built indoor surfaces, which is the same grass really as an AstroTurf grass. So you play indoors, the rules are the same, the principle is the same, it's just that now you're in a hall with a crowd. So the indoor championships has quite a big crowd, almost 10,000 spectators come to watch the finals. So it is a big event, and we're trying our level best as Kenya to compete at that level.
Well, next, we've already had a demonstration about, how the basic scoring. It's all about, for example, if I pick this wood, having it next to the jack, which is usually a small ball. But there's something interesting about these woods. You said they're biased.
Yes.
And how then do you handle that as...
So maybe I'll just pick up one. The aim is to roll the ball. One side is slightly heavier than the other side. This allows the wood to go and curve round. So in the event your opponent is directly in your line of play, you can go round his wood and get round. So that weight is called a bias, and then you learn how to handle it. There are some that swing very wide, there are some that swing very narrow, because there are different manufacturers of the woods and there are different styles to play.
Let me pick this because there's a slight difference between this wood
and this one.
This one has a groove.
The groove is to allow you as a new bowler to learn where to put your fingers. So when you're holding a ball, the aim is to put your first finger and your third finger in there, the middle finger across, and then you have what you call your small finger and your thumb here to give it direction. So when you throw, you swing and you throw with a full arm stretched out. Like the sport of golf, you must have follow through so that you get your swing correct.
Yes.
And then you decide where you're going to place the wood. You you aim at a target and you try and throw as directly as possible that target. And if you get it right, you'll get as close as possible to the jack. So the trick is to work it that way. They come in different sizes depending on your hand size. So some of us with bigger hands get bigger ones, and if you have a smaller hand, you can get smaller ones. But the sizes are available, styles and colors are all available. So this is what it is.
All right. Now, for somebody who's played, how then do you handle that? You could just show us how you...
So again, the same principle. This one has grooves again. My fingers in the same place.
But they're not as deep as this.
Yes, that's now more style, but it's the principle of where you put your hands and fingers so that when you're rolling the ball, you deliver it properly and you roll it and you follow through and it goes exactly where you want to go.
Eventually, then, had mentioned to me, just on the side that there's the equivalent of a forehand and
a backhand.
Yes.
So because you're aiming, let's say I'm aiming straight ahead, I want to go round this way. So then I play slightly to my right, if I'm right-handed.
Yes.
That means I'm playing forehand. It's called forehand. Now, if I decide to play across my body to go round on the other side, because sometimes this route may be blocked, it's called a backhand. So the trick is to make sure the weight is always on the inside, which means if I'm going this side, I turn the wood around so that when it curves, it will curve back towards the center. If I'm going forehand, I turn it again so that when I roll, it curves back towards the center, because the target is placed in the middle of the rink, and the aim is to get as close as possible in either forehand direction, which is away from your body, or backhand, which is across your body.
Well, and also just to note, if you look at the ball, it's marked with the smaller circle means the heavier side.
Yes.
And that's the one, if I want to move the ball,
it should be on the inside because it curves back to the smaller circle. Then again, all woods will have slightly different markings so that I can tell which one is mine and which is my opponent's. So they have different symbols so that when you're playing the game, I know mine has a star, yours has a fish, and so on and so forth, so that I know which is mine. And again, internationally now we've gone to play in blue and red so that it's easier for TV to note, so that let's say Kenya is playing Uganda, we'll be told Kenya to play like in boxing, either in red jersey or in a blue jersey.
In the blue, yes.
Yes. So that is now how we're playing international ball. So it's easier to follow on TV the game and how it was going.
Let us now come to the Commonwealth Games and the team selection that you did.
So we held national trials over 2 weekends. They were held at Nairobi Club. And we had a very good component of over 25 bowlers who applied to make the national team. We went through a process that involves the following. There are trial games where you play against each other and we see who the best man wins. There's skill drills where you do specific training exercises to see who's most accurate. And then we also look back and say, how was your performance in the last 2 years in our events? Which means if you won an event, you get a point. If you made a semi-final, maybe half a point, but the points add up. There's also a small component of just participating, that at least you're trying to play. Every year we have 10 events, which are the national events, the major ones which you have to participate in for you to be able to then apply for the national team. And we look at your record on the past 2 years. But outside of the 10 main events, there are quite another subsidiary events. Named had 5 men and 5 ladies. They go into a training camp with a team manager. For this year's Commonwealth Games, I'll be the team manager in charge. So we have a training program. In that training program, now you'll try and do different combinations. This guy starts here, this one starts here. Then eventually you'll find your best combination. So some people are better at the singles, some people are better at the team game, and some people are better to start. So let's say a team game is 2 versus 2. The first person is called the lead because you're the leader. You lead, then the second person is called the skipper or the captain, the skip. Now, when you get to 4 versus 4, which is called the fours, there's the lead, there's a guy who plays second, a guy who plays third, then there's the skipper. So the skip is usually your best player because he comes at the end to rescue you in case things are going bad. Therefore, the trick is to get a good skip and make sure your lead is a very good person so that each time they play, the aim for the lead is to get as close as possible to the white at the very beginning. Because if he gets their woods there, it gets very hard for your opponent to beat that. So your opponent will be struggling to get there and you amass points. So it's important as a lead to be very accurate. So those are when we do our skill drills, we test accuracy. We give you a target and say all of you have to get within 1 foot of the jack. And you get a point. If you get beyond that, you don't get a point. So what happens if those who are accurate will score points? Because in the international game, accuracy matters. We play internationally at Africa States Tournament. The last version was held in Nairobi in 2019. One of our bowlers, Benson Kariuki, won gold. He defeated 2 Commonwealth Games champions from Zimbabwe and South Africa to win the gold medal. 2021, because of COVID, the event was not held. So the next version will be 2023. We'll be going to Windhoek in Namibia. Within the African continent, manage the cost of maintaining it because you're also maintaining the golf greens. So that's why you find a lot of our clubs are in golf clubs.
Makes a lot of sense now as to why, I mean, that would be there. The other one is Kenya's prospects at the club games, the Commonwealth Games. Where do we stand globally?
Globally, we in the World Atlantic Championships, we finished 9th. Our ladies trips, again, or the best team, they finished 9th overall in the world. So our target is to at least make a quarterfinal in this event. We need more exposure at the international level before we can really say we're competitive for medals, but if you don't start, you don't get there.
Well, and so for somebody like Benson Karaoke and you could mention some of the individual players who
Benson Karaoke
would stand out at the club games.
Benson Karaoke is the Africa champion as we speak, right? And he's going to the World Indoor Singles this month to represent Kenya, and he'll be part of the squad for Commonwealth Games and going forward. We do believe he has a good chance, right, to medal, but there's a lot of work that still needs to be done to get him to that level. Yes.
From the women's side?
The women's side, this year's team will have Eunice Wambui, who was in the Commonwealth Games in 2018. She finished 14th in that games overall. Again, we have given ourselves a target of at least a quarterfinal, which means 8th or better, as was this year's target, and we're working towards that target.
All right. Thank you very much. And before I leave, there's one thing I want to do. Let me see do I have the grip right?
Yes.
Because that's the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to let this ball roll, and let me see if I have the skills right. First of all, do I have the grip correct?
You have the grip correct. So what we want you to do is roll it just towards these ones.
Okay.
And we'll assume that's the target, right? So the grip is correct. It's just to roll and follow through and just go there, and you should get it.
So this is
on the inside because you're doing forward. So you go slightly wide and it'll come back.
All right. Yes. Let me see if I have this correct. And I need a good follow through.
Yes.
The idea is to get to the white one.
But do it very gently because it'll move very fast.
All right.
And you have the white.
I have it.
Yes, and that's how you score.
Good.
Right?
All right. Do the trials for the Commonwealth Games again.
No, we're inviting you to Mombasa. If not, even KBC, I'll give you a link. You can come and see the national singles finals. We do have a Facebook page, and on our website, www.bowlskenya.com, you can see all the data and results and link to our Facebook page where all our finals are streamed live.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, if the trials were held in Mombasa, well, I can see that I've picked up the skill just very fast. I will be knocking on the doors of Team Kenya. Thank you very much, Musembi Mumo, for your time this morning. And that's it for Sports Check on this Monday morning. My name is Daniel Wahome. Our sign language interpreter has been Lenta Odingo. Next is Kurunzi Mashinani with Zainab Said. Have a good viewing.